believe me, don't you?
There's no such thing as monsters. You need to grow up. I'm serious, Sawyer. I need to be alone.
What I wanted to know was, were you shown the monster, what it would look like before you were filming? Did you know what the monster was going to look like in the movie?
It was like I feel like a quarter through the shoot that I originally saw him.
And weird to ask.
Because they had that VFX head, right? And it was really funny because I remember one day we were filming a scene in the kitchen, and then they just brought it in, and it just like they were just waving it around like on a broomstick, and I was just like, what is that? What is that? And yeah, it was really funny. And then because I had wanted to see it, and then I would be like, could I have the tennis ball, please? I would like the tennis ball. I would like to act to the tennis ball, please. And Rob would be like, no.
It needs to be authentic.
Yeah.
Sophie, can I ask you, what was your first reaction when you read the script?
I thought it was devastating. Sadie is just really complicated, complex character, and she has such an incredible arc that as an actor, that is immediately what drew me in. But yeah, I feel like it translated really well to screen. You could feel that in the script, and you could feel the terror. And it's rare that you feel that within reading a lot of scripts and a lot of genre-y stuff, but also just knowing that this is Stephen King and there's that trust within that.
Did you both, especially Vivian, you're a little bit young, but have you read Stephen King, or did you read The Boogeyman?
I didn't beforehand. I just read the script, but just recently, a few weeks ago, I started reading the original collection of short stories, Night Shift, that has the Boogeyman in it. So I read the original story, and he has a very terrifying mind. It's very much, yeah. But it's really good, and I think morbid curiosity helps me read that book. So.
Nice.
I've heard that he's seen the movie and he loves it, so that's the best compliment, isn't it?
Ultimate validation.
Ultimate.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what we needed. And I remember just kind of being scared throughout filming, just hoping that we would get his validation.
Yeah.
But that feels like, okay, now we can go home and feel good about ourselves.
Because if he feels good about it, then I think that's a job well done.
One thing I've got to say that I thought was scary wasn't just the monster, it was the tooth pulling scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah. Well, that was quite an interesting thing to film. I remember it being a lot of parts. I think with scenes like that, when it's just like a lot of parts, because like there was me standing there wearing like the shadow, and then me coming in, and the tooth being pulled kind of thing. So it was like a whole thing, and they had to have fake blood all over. I felt like a vampire. It was a whole thing, but that wasn't as bad to me because I feel like I filmed it. What I got nervous about was when she did the actual tooth pulling out.
Oh, I was so scared technically how it would work. And just,
I know. There are things
to do it so many times.
There are things like that when you read the script, you're just like, I am so terrified to see how this is going to be filmed.
How are we going to pull this off?
And yet it always surprises me that
we did it. And it's a really scary scene because everybody's worst nightmare is their tooth falling out.
And that haunting lullaby just really adds a next level terror to it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
It's really spooky the way we stood up.
Yeah.
I mean, Sophie, for you, you've got some very physical scenes in the film. Were they quite hard to do, or is it the more emotional ones that are harder?
I feel like the physical scenes for me and like doing my own stunts is fresh to me and new to me, and just learning how to like save your energy and your body and not. I remember just like would leave home bruised because I wear knee pads, and I would be like, oh, I don't need knee pads. But that's totally wrong. That's like, you always need to be prepared. I mean, the emotional scenes where it's hard to like always live in that state of terror and to not completely drain yourself and exhaust yourself. But I think you kind of learn how to do it in a healthy way to some extent.
I've learned a lot of great tricks for.
There are a lot of tricks to it.
Yeah, a lot of things. Yeah, so many things.
I mean, it's also what I think is, as well as being a horror movie, it's actually it deals a lot with grief as well.
Yes,
I mean, was that quite interesting to do? Because, you know, your two characters and also your father are all dealing with the grief, the loss of your mother differently.
Yeah, I think that's definitely probably the main component of the movie, is that this creature kind of personifies grief and how if you don't let it go, it can really damage you, whether it comes in the form of just being sad constantly or a terrifying demonic-looking entity that haunts you. So yeah, I think when you're acting as like the scared, when you want to put yourself in the screen, that theme of grief has to kind of stay in your head while you're doing like the acting scared, because that's definitely what's causing a lot of this. So
it's
you gotta
layered.
kind of it's
just,
layered. And
yeah.
you gotta kind of keep the grief in your head, because that's what's kind of the main component of how Sawyer and Sadie are feeling.
Yeah, and you meet them at such a distinct stage of their grieving, and everybody deals with grieving in their entirely own specific ways, so it's not like you can just research it. And I was very good with like trying to watch movies and get in that headspace. They recommended me this movie, Ordinary People, which was shot in my hometown. So immediately just watching it, I felt this very sense of closeness to it. But it's something that you can't really prepare for, and you just kind of have to trust yourself to like be present and live in that world.
I've got to ask you, Sophie, how horrible are Sadie's friends in this movie? I mean, it makes the girls in yellow jackets just look lovely.
Right? I know. Okay, I was saying, they were like, what was the scariest part of the movie? And I was like, maybe filming that one scene when everybody comes over and she's trying to entertain everybody, because that's so real. And I think high school is just as scary as the boogeyman. Get ready. I'm just kidding.
Not there yet.
No, I'm kidding.
Like 2 more years.